What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Club and Country. This is episode number 35, and we start today's episode off with another look at the successful negotiations page, all of those that occurred during the summer transfer windows, the players that came in and the players that left the club as well. Transitioning the sky quite nicely as well, bringing in the younger players and selling on the older players, always good to see. And also we have a useful monthly report here and a squad report as well, as we're now into September, as deadline day slammed shut at the end of the last episode. So this is our squad we got to work with at least until January, and you can take a look at the players right here. Of course, quite a few new players coming to Paris FC this season, some on pre-contracts and some regular signings as well. Latour, of course, coming in on deadline day. He's already grown a rating since he came in yesterday, so I'm very, very happy with that. And also as well, you'll see Yannick's stats here too. Now, I want to show you Yannick's stats right here, 66 overall, and I'm going to freeze frame as soon as the squad report has ended. And I want you to take a look at the squad report of Yannick's stats a week ago in-game compared to what they are today after this squad report on the 1st of the month in September here. Now, Yannick's stats, the last week's stats in the game are on the left, and his current stats are on the right as well. It shows here that Yannick is growing ratings on his own, even with a little bit of training used at the start of the season. Now, I'm very, very confused as to what I should be doing with Yannick this season. If anyone out there knows more about training than I do, which is quite likely because I'm obviously not too good at it this year, tell me what I need to do to get the best results out of Yannick. Feel free to go back and look at that screenshot there of his stats from last week compared to what they are right now. You can see that he is growing some ratings on his own, which is good to see, and attributes on his own, which is really good to see. But his defensive stats aren't going up naturally, and neither his stamina and strength. So that's the real concern for me, because he's growing ratings on his own and growing attributes on his own, but I need him to be the defensive stats because he's playing in the defensive midfield role, but also stamina and strength needs to be improved on too. Now, stamina you can train, but you can't train strength, and I'm just not entirely sure how I can bump up those two physical stats, which are the most important. You can see he's actually getting a little bit quicker. We don't really care about that though. I want him to improve his strength, even though I can't train it, and also his stamina that I can train as well, and his defensive stats as well. But what I don't want to do is overtrain him and then see him not grow any ratings on his own anymore. So if anyone has any clue to what I can do here with Yannick's training, do let me know in the comments. Tell me what the best formula would be. I don't want to risk it and overtrain him and see him never grow anymore on his own, but I also don't want to see him stay at this sort of low overall for the defensive stats and also the physicals and stamina and strength as well. But still, coming to this, the first game of today's episode, the first of two games of today's episode, we take on Nantes here away from home. You saw the schedule right there. We have got some unbelievably tough fixtures coming up right now. Seriously, some really good teams in France, including the informed Stade Rennais, who right now are top of the table, and of course last season finished in second place as well. So we've got some really tough fixtures, including our first Champions League group stage games with Paris FC as well. And you would have seen the group as well. We got ourselves Chelsea, Zenit, and also Celtic as well. So three tough teams there. Celtic, the Scottish side, Zenit, the Russian side, and Chelsea as well. Of course, the English team too. And you also may have noticed as well that for the first ever time with Paris FC, in the 35th episode, we had our first ever national representative. Sebastian Corchia got called up to the France side for the international friendlies, or qualifiers even, before this game here against Nantes. And that's really good to see. I don't know whether it counts or not, because he got called up for the France side, but the reason we didn't get an email is because by the time that announcement was made, he was still a Lille player. So I don't know whether that counts or not as our first ever player getting called up to the France side, because he was a Lille player when it happened. So I don't know really, but either way, good to see for the first ever time one of our players for Paris FC went away on international duty with the country. We take on Nantes here for the first of two games in today's episode. You saw the schedule we got. The game directly after this one here in midweek was against Chelsea, our first ever Champions League game away at Stamford Bridge. So coming to this game, I decided to make a lot of changes. Gave a debut to Latour as well, and what an assist too. As you can see, just 9 minutes in, Moussa Dembele heads in his third goal of the season and his first in the league in this year. Good thing we did decide to keep hold of him. He's had a pretty decent start to the season, and what an assist as well for Latour. 9 minutes into his debut, fantastic run and cross, and he makes it Nantes 0, Paris FC 1. And from kickoff as well, Nantes tried to retain possession, gave it away. Dembele, the goal scorer, wins it back, finds Vincent Pires, holds the ball up, plays it through towards the running Kevin May, who goes through one-on-one. He's a new signing for this season on a pre-contract, and just like Dembele, he's got his third goal of the season and his first in the league as well. So Kevin May with the goal. It was kind of funny as well, because when these two scored together in the game against AIK, Dembele scored 2 and May got 2 as well. And here Dembele scores and May says, well, if my strike partner scored, once again I better score as well. So May gets the goal, makes it Nantes 0, Paris FC 2, and already in this game we are 2 goals up. But in the 70th minute here, a disaster for me. Now you guys know I play out front and back all the time, and this year I don't have too many problems with it. But if you've been a long-term sub of mine, you know that in previous FIFAs, I wasn't really the best at playing out from the back. I made a lot of mistakes, not as much as before, but this was a real howler from me here. Latour, the new sign in the left back, intercepts the ball, wins it back, and then I overhit the pass back to Barmy, who couldn't control it, and then tries to kick the ball away and misses the ball and just kicks the air instead. And Sigforsson has a really easy finish for the home side for his first goal of the season. So not sure who you blame there. A bit of Latour, a bit of Barmy, but probably all to me really for overhitting the back pass and not reacting quickly enough with Barmy. So Nantes 1, Paris FC 2, a real howler from me there, controlling Latour. Terrible back pass by me, and of course didn't press circle on time with Barmy either. So Nantes back in the game. They did trail at half time though by 2-1 and just 4 minutes after the restart. Well, I was going to say they did some good work to get themselves back in the game. They didn't really. I gifted them the goal. But 4 minutes after the restart, we get our 2-goal cushion back early. A nice passing move here. The ball gets played through by Tristan towards Dembele, and it's a really good finish by Moussa Dembele. Opens up his body. It's his second goal in the league and already 4 for this season as well. So for a striker who didn't really work out last season, to see him already hit 4 goals this year already, that's a really good start and very encouraging. So Nantes 1, Paris FC 3. And just past the hour mark here, had a great chance to make it 4-1. Then Gomez on the ball, gives it to Latour, causing problems all game at left back, down the left-hand side, takes it around Dubois, crosses the ball into the centre, the goalkeeper spills it, then makes a great recovery save to deny Vincent Perez a tap in, but it drops down in the centre to guess who? Kevin May, and just like in the game away in Sweden, Dembele got 2, and therefore his strike partner May also has to get 2 as well. An easy tap in for him. It's Nantes 1, Paris FC 4, and we do get ourselves a 3-goal lead in this game. So the goalkeeper spilled the Latour cross, then made a really good reaction save to deny Vincent Perez once the ball came to him, but as it fell to Kevin May, he wasn't going to miss, and it's now Nantes 1, Paris FC 4. We could have made it 5-1 as well in the 70th minute as Perez gets on the ball and plays it through towards May, looking for his first hat-trick in a Paris FC shirt and our first hat-trick of the season, but Sally is showing wide the post and behind for a goal kick. But it was how the game would finish. Final score, Nantes 1, Paris FC 4, and to have won that game so comfortably and convincingly by 4-1 gives us so much confidence, optimism and belief going into this really tricky run of tough fixtures, because the run starts directly after this game. 3 days later, we have to travel to London, England to take on Chelsea for our first ever European game, our first ever Champions League game away at Stamford Bridge. The run starts there, and to win the sort of the preliminary game, if you will, against Nantes by 4-1, I mean, that's just an absolute superb result, especially when you consider the fact that we did rest the entire side as well. And I mean, coming into this game as well, the second and final one of today's episode, taking on Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge for our first ever European game. I mean, this was going to be a massive game, and I was just so looking forward to it as well. Taking on Chelsea, of course, now under the management of Gus Hiddink. Not having the best of seasons in real life, as we know, but of course in the game we know it will be probably the strongest game of the group. Taking on Chelsea away from home for our first ever European game, and of course fielding our strongest first 11 as well. So I didn't really know what to expect in this game, to be honest. I went into it thinking to myself, I know we had a great win there against Nantes, a 4-1 victory. We had a good start to the season as well. Only lost once so far, and that was against AIK in a meaningless game, really. Taking on Chelsea, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I thought a draw in this game would be fantastic for us, but we'll have to wait and see. But the first chance would fall to us directly from kickoff as well, as of course Shia swings in his cross from the right-hand side, and wouldn't you just know it, the first chance would result in the first goal of the game as well, and guess who scored it? Thierry Ambrose, of course. The skipper, who got his first 2 goals against the Guingamp in the last episode, scores here just 3 minutes in, celebrating in front of the travelling fans, and in the first 5 minutes of our first ever European game, the Champions League group stage opener, we take the lead against Chelsea for our skipper, the number 9, the ever so reliable Thierry Ambrose, heading in that Corsia cross, and what a header as well to beat Ivanovic in the air, the Serbian, as he opens the scoring, gives us a shock lead here in the first 3 minutes, as it's Chelsea 0, Paris FC 1. Yannick didn't have a shot there from range, but he went over the bar and behind for a goal kick. In the 11th minute here, Chelsea tried to respond and get themselves back on level terms. Azpilicueta finds Fabregas inside towards Oscar, but the Brazilian smacks the post, and eventually we got the ball away. So still Chelsea 0, Paris FC 1, as the home side tried to respond. They had another good chance here in the 33rd minute, and sadly for us as well, they would get themselves back on level terms. We knew for sure that after Ambrose's goal, they weren't going to sit back and just play possession football like a lot of teams do. They were going to be looking for an equalising goal as soon as possible, being the favourites in this game, and they'll get it here as well, just past half an hour mark. The cross comes into the centre. It's a really good header by Zuma across the face of the goal, and Matic at the far post volleys in from close range. Couldn't miss this one. Not really sure why my defender fell to the floor like a ton of bricks there, but he did. But Matic had a simple finish anyway. He was always going to score, and did. So the Serbian makes it Chelsea 1, Paris FC 1. We almost retook the lead here in the 36th minute. Yannick's through ball found Boga, but sadly he was denied by a great save by Courtois, and the Belgian kept it at 1-1. So going to the break, it was level, but in the second half, started just past the hour mark. How about this? Yannick is running around and the little 5'5" man is doing everything he can to try and win the ball back here. As Chelsea are passing the ball around though, Hazard gets to Cahill, who has a terrible first touch. Yannick does intercept, chips it over Kurt Zouma towards Thierry Ambrose, who has the wrong side of Zouma, goes through one-on-one, and for the second time in the game, Thierry Ambrose runs to celebrate towards the camera, kisses the badge, or at least taps the badge, because Thierry Ambrose gets his second goal of the game and makes it Chelsea 1, Paris FC 2, and sends our fans into pandemonium. What a ball by Yannick after intercepting Cahill, gives it to Ambrose, he runs through one-on-one, he keeps his composure, and Ambrose gets his fourth of the season, his second of the night, and it is Chelsea 1, Paris FC 2, as we retake the lead here for the second time at Stamford Bridge in incredible fashion. So Chelsea 1, Paris FC 2. Chelsea almost got themselves back on level terms for a second time here. Oscar strike going just wide the post and behind for a goal kick, but it was how the game would finish. Final score at Stamford Bridge. What a result. Surely the best result of the series so far. Final score, Chelsea 1, Paris FC 2, and in our first ever Champions League game, in our first ever European game. You know, what I wanted from this game really was just at least a draw. I felt we could get it. I felt we'd be good enough for it on the back of that really good win against Nantes and a good start to the season. But to win the game by 2-1, you know, to be pegged back in this game, yet still go and retake the lead for a second time was fantastic. A really, really awesome match. Ambrose with a double, a good performance by Yannick as well. Most importantly though, a great start to our Champions League group. 3 points from the opening game in what will probably be the toughest game of the group. That is an unbelievable way to start our first ever Champions League adventure. But that does end the episode though, guys, so thank you very much for watching the video. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you're enjoying today's episode of Club and Country, please do leave likes. That's of course much appreciated and it really does help my channel out. And I'll see you for the next episode of Club and Country very soon.